right, this is AWS On Air, live at reInvent, and we've got a really exciting next 10 minutes. We're going to be talking about cancer research, some open source software. But first, let's introduce the people on this amazing panel. My name is Jillian Ford, and I'm a startup solutions architect, and I've got an awesome co-host.
Hey, my name is Aaron Hunter. I am not a startup solutions architect. I am a AWS senior technical trainer with AWS training certification. And with us, we have...
Hi, I am Tanner Marsh. I'm a master's student at Harvard, and as part of the Wagner Lab at Harvard Medical School, I'm one of the contributors to the Virtual Flow project. And I'm really excited to be here to talk a little bit about Virtual Flow and what we've been doing in our partnership with AWS and Intel.
So happy to have you here. Yeah, thank you so much. So tell us, what is it that you're working on right now?
Yeah,
so I can tell you a little bit about this platform called Virtual Flow. And it's basically a computational platform for doing drug discovery. And when I talk about drug discovery, I mean the process of finding new candidate drugs. So identifying molecules that might be used to safely and effectively treat a disease. So in our lab, we're actually trying to find molecules which will bind to certain cancer proteins that are involved in the spreading of tumors. So the hope is that we can find some molecule that will bind to the protein and disable it.
Oh, this is so fascinating.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Can you tell us more about how exactly you were using AWS as part of this experiment?
Yeah, so we actually recently carried out the largest HPC run, high performance computing run ever, that we know about. And so that involved using 5.7 million virtual CPUs simultaneously.
5.7 million?
Million, yes, with an M.
Million, yes.
You kind of broke me when you said million.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, that number is just staggering in general, but compared to what we're used to, I mean, on any given day with the Harvard computer cluster, you might have 3,000 CPUs. So we've gone from 3,000 to 5.7 million. Yeah, right. And the purpose of this run was to prepare a virtual screening library for Virtual Flow. So basically, the idea is that in drug discovery, you want to find new drugs, and the simplest way of doing that is by taking a big set of molecules and checking one by one whether they will bind to some protein of interest. And so these are three-dimensional structures, and we're using a computer program to do a physics simulation that will check how is the molecule binding to the protein.
Wow.
But in order to do this, we need the chemical library to be in a format that's ready for Virtual Flow.
Yeah.
And that is what this giant screen was about. It was about taking 70 billion molecules and converting them from their two-dimensional structure to a three-dimensional structure that can be used with Virtual Flow.
Wow.
Allowing you to do more with the data, to better understand and kind of put it on the right trajectory towards solving problems.
Yeah, exactly. So
I guess improving lives.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope eventually. When you want to find drugs or molecules that could be drugs, it's really important that you have a big search space. So if you're only searching 100,000 compounds, you might not find something that's as good as if you were searching 70 billion. So by pushing up this number of compounds that we're able to screen, we're able to find much better compounds. So that means, more potent cancer treatments, for example.
Wow.
That's amazing. And so this Virtual Flow, is this something that other people can be able to utilize for their own, use case? Maybe you can tell us about that?
Yeah, that is really one of the most exciting things about Virtual Flow is that it is totally open source.
Wow.
And this data that we've produced through the HPC run with AWS and Intel is totally publicly available. So anyone can use it. Anyone can run Virtual Flow in the cloud, and they can use this library that we've prepared to screen their own targets. So we're working on cancer, but there are there's a lot of unmet need out there in other disease areas, and so other people can use Virtual Flow to screen their own targets. And that could be pharmaceutical groups, academic groups, really anyone with an interest in that. And so it's part of our push to sort of democratize how drug discovery is done.
Yeah.
Wow.
You mentioned HPC, so I heard that.
Yeah.
And you recently conducted one of the largest HPC runs, is that right?
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what I was mentioning.
Yeah.
With the 5.7
million.
Yeah, million.
vCPUs. That's just,
Yeah.
I can't even fathom, I can't even think about how many vCPUs that is.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in my own 1990 mindset of running it. Let's not go down that
Core.
path.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk more about collaboration between your work and Intel, and maybe how you're working with Intel and AWS on this project.
Yeah.
Right. So, AWS and Intel have really been instrumental in the entire project. Basically, it takes a lot of money to use 5.7 million vCPUs. And,
No pinky? I'm trying to get you to do the pinky.
Yeah, we were at that. Sorry about that. So just beyond the credits and the funding that will be used to follow up on the compounds that we find from our virtual screens, the people from AWS and Intel really helped us with the technical aspects of it too. So we had a version of Virtual Flow that could run in the cloud, and we could, maybe use a few hundred thousand CPUs, and that was insane. But it, takes a lot more effort to scale up to that, millions of CPU level. And so we had a lot of help from the cloud people, AWS and Intel, really helping us coordinate all of these instances that we needed to use and helping us deal with all the data that they were generating.
And with that, like you mentioned, it becomes very expensive, so working with the right teams to cost optimize it, startups or solutions architects like Jillian,
Yep,
I'm sure we're paramount and instrumental to helping you be successful.
Yeah, Tanner, you were saying earlier about different targets that other companies could be using with Virtual Flow. So does that mean it could be for other use cases that aren't cancer, or for other different kinds of drugs? Maybe you can expound on that.
Yeah, there are a lot of kinds of cancers, and we're only focused on a small subset, but the possibilities are really limitless. Other people can use this platform to find compounds that can be developed into other drugs for other diseases.
Okay. Other diseases or just other cancers?
Any other diseases. So the general idea is if you have a disease and a protein that you know to be involved in the disease, if you can find a molecule that will inhibit that protein, then you might be able to treat the disease in some way.
Because you're taking this 2D model and turning it into a 3D model and really identifying the proteins, and I don't know a whole lot about science, but the attachments and everything too, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're figuring out how do these two things fit together in a way that will deactivate this disease-causing protein.
It seems pretty significant.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And we hope that it, compared to some of the traditional methods, it's way cheaper and a lot more effective. It is $25,000 to screen, a billion compounds versus hundreds of thousands of dollars with the traditional methods.
And you mentioned it's open source, so people can go check it out. What else can they do? We have about 20 seconds left.
Okay.
What else can they do to learn more about this?
They can visit virtualflow.org, and I think we have a booth here as well. I don't know the number, but you can look it up, I'm sure.
All right, everyone.
That's cool. I'll check it out.
If you're here live with us at reInvent 2022 in Las Vegas, go ahead and check out Virtual Flow, check out Intel, go to virtualflow.com to learn more about it, and thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.
Yeah, thank you.